advancing in prayer. Watch, stay alert, and pray. The stages of prayer that we go through, we start by reading from a book. This time we are learning how to pray. We are learning words, learning phrases. We move towards praying with the lips on our own, or maybe with a book. Then we start praying with the mind. So here we are not using a book anymore. We are not saying the words out loud. We are focusing within our minds. Then the last stage is merging the mind inside the heart. This is our final destination. This is our aim in practicing prayer. Using different prayers is good for us in order to learn different expressions of spiritual life. We can use the daily prayer book. It's very useful. We can pray the hours or the psalms. We have lots of examples about prayers in there. We can use other prayers from the saints' books. We can learn a lot from the prayers of the saints and from the books of the saints in general. Then we have our own improvised prayers, such as thanksgiving and other requests. The vigor in prayer, we should try to maintain some vigor as much as we can. Ideally, we should yearn for prayer. We should feel a certain warmth. We should feel that we want to pray. We love prayer. But that's not always the case. So we have to expect days of cold prayer. And during these cold days, we should not give up. We should continue. Remember, we are practicing prayer. We are practicing. Sometimes we feel that it's not working. However, we practice again. If we want to do it correctly, we have to practice and practice. We stick to the prayer rule and the prayer timings. Like if our prayer rule is morning and evening, we try to stick to them as much as possible, like the same hour every day. We should not abandon prayer no matter what. We don't even postpone prayer unless it's really necessary. We shouldn't add to the prayer rule as beginners, because we need to get stronger first. So if we are keeping the same rule for 6 months, everything is fine, then we talk to the spiritual father and we can add something to it. Now, other than the prayer rule, we can practice on our own. We can practice according to our vigor, according to how we feel. It's going to help us increase our ability to pray, increase our absorption in prayer, and increase our understanding of spiritual life. It is not part of the prayer rule. It's just extra exercises that we like. So we can choose what to do. We can choose the prayers. We can add 10 prayer ropes if we like on certain days, or a prayer rope of Our Father which art in heaven. Maybe half a prayer rope of Psalm 50. Now Psalm 50 is a long one, so half a prayer rope is basically a long prayer. Okay, so this is not for everybody, but I'm telling you, we can exercise with different prayers. We can repeat hymns if we like. So you can choose from a variety of hymns and repeat them throughout the day. So if you're practicing a type of sports, you're going to do the same thing. You're practicing with the team, you're practicing with friends, you're practicing on your own. You spend half an hour here, 1 hour there. And you're not going to really enjoy it until you get the hang of it. So it's going to take some time, it's going to take some effort. We have prayer peaks in general that are difficult to describe unless you are praying. but it's going to give us an idea of our praying life, how we're going to move through prayer throughout our life. So as you can see, we're moving up and down basically. We learn prayer by praying. So this is something that we learn by practice. And most of the things that we meet, it's difficult to describe. However, what we need to know is that we can advance. Through the days, throughout the months, we're going to advance. But we have to keep watching our prayer. Practice, and it's going to work. In general, the path of prayer is going to fluctuate. So this is what we have. It's going to look like this in reality. Some days we are down, some days we are up. It depends on how much grace we get on that particular day. And the purpose of God giving us grace or not giving us grace is to help us practice. We need to practice prayer. And then at certain times, God is going to leave us alone and see what we are going to decide and how we are going to behave. If you feel that you are advancing all the time, then you're probably on the wrong path. Because the real path fluctuates and it's difficult. It's not like the paths of the other spiritual movements or other religions, where you can learn a few practices and then practice them and feel satisfied with yourself. It's not like that. The real spiritual path fluctuates because we are fighting against the passions, we are fighting against the principalities in the earth, so it's going to be difficult. And while fighting, we are learning and we are getting stronger. So advancing in earthly ability is not really advancing spiritually. Like memorizing more prayers or learning church music or church service, that's not advancing in spiritual matters. The real path doesn't go like this. So the path that looks like we are advancing all the time is actually a path of pride. Remember that we cannot advance on our own, and we cannot advance without Jesus Christ, who is helping us and training us in spiritual life. So we have to face some difficulties. That's how we train, that's how we learn. By facing difficulties, by facing trials. That's how we learn about spiritual life. So we cannot advance without struggling against the passions. And since we are struggling, it means some days we're up, some days we're down. That's why I said the true path fluctuates. The purpose is the purification of the soul. So monastic practices alone, such as church service, fasting, doing the prayer rules, these are not enough. We need to fight on the inside. We need to heal from the passions. So we are fighting the passions. And that's why we say, "A pure heart create in me, O Lord," from Psalm 50. Because that's what we are aiming for. If we need the Lord Jesus Christ to live in our hearts, we must have clean hearts. We must have pure hearts. So we need to struggle against sin and against passions. I hope you find this video useful. God bless you.